Chad again from Digital Photography. This is tutorial number 5. I'm going to talk about layers here. Um, so Photoshop and a lot of the Adobe Creative Cloud utilizes layers. Layers, if you don't see them on the right hand side, they're right here, by the way, but let's say you can expand this out and see that it is layers. But if you don't see them here, you can always go up to the top menu under Window and choose layers. You can't see it, but just take my word for it. And then it'll show up here in your palettes. So when you open up a Photoshop document that is like a JPEG, say, you will always have one layer. And let me explain layers. How many of you have seen a transparency projector, an overhead projector in your schooling? It has a big box base with light coming out of it, and then there's a little arm that comes up in it. Let me see if I can find one real quick so you can see it. What do we call this? So yeah, any of these right here, these kind of overhead projectors. And so do you remember what went on top of these things? They were transparencies. So what photo layers in, sorry about me, not coming together. So layers in any Adobe program, you can consider them as a stack of transparency layers, or a stack of transparencies ready to go on an overhead projector. So the cool, let me just bring back this picture. So the idea on these transparencies is that you can put and I'll relate it to Photoshop, you can stack as many as you want and you can see right through them. They're very clear. You could draw on any particular layer that you'd like. You can lock them down so they can't be moved or cannot be edited. You can also hide them, so you can take away all your transparencies and just see one. And then you can unhide them and bring them back. So that's the beauty of transparencies in Photoshop. So I'm in layers right now. This is the image that I opened up, and I'm going to choose down at the bottom here this little icon with a plus on it, and that is actually allows you to create a new layer. So I'm going to click that a few times. Okay. So now let's add an element in here. I'm actually going to go get this slide projector or this transparency projector and paste it in here. Okay. So now if I go on layers, this was brought in as layer 4. I can hide that layer so I can't see it, but it's still there, right? I can rename the layer, so I'll double click it and call it overhead projector. And I can change the order. So if I wanted to, I could drag this underneath my layer 3 or 2 or 1. There's nothing on these layers. In fact, so it looks like nothing happened in this image, but I actually put it underneath layer 3, 2, and 1. Notice that layers 3, 2, and 1 have a little checkerboard behind them. Hopefully you can see that. That is Photoshop's way of saying there are no pixels in this area. Okay, so let me just hide this background. See this checkerboard going on behind this image? 0 pixels are happening back here. It's not white, it's not black, there's just no pixels. Okay, so it's transparent. So I'm going to get just a brush, and let's see, I'm in black right now. I'm going to choose layer 2, and I'll make some kind of mark, and then I'll choose layer 1. I'm going to switch my color up to pink, and then I'll make another mark. Okay, So let me just show you about dragging these layers around. I'll put this overhead projector above layer 1, and you can see what happened. Now it's behind it, right? And if I drag it on top of layer 2, behind, put that in front, you get the idea. You can drag these layers around, you can rename them, you can hide them and turn them on, and you can also lock them. So, and you can also, so let me talk about locking a little bit. So here's the word lock right above the layers. This icon allows you to lock the transparencies. So if I click on this with this particular layer, boom, it's locked, but it can still be moved and painted on and cropped, but the transparencies can't be altered. Let me show you, let me just talk about that for a minute. I'm going to get a whole nother color, like a bright green. And okay, so now I have a brush with a bright green color loaded. I'm trying to color on this layer, but I can't because that's in the transparency. It won't allow that. However, when I go over the black, you can see what's happening. Those pixels over the black are not transparent. They're black. So when I color on them, they will receive the color that I'm painting. Can be very helpful in a lot of cases. Let me just show you this, my move tool. I can still move this around. Let's say in addition to this, I'm going to lock this move so it can't be moved. This is my move tool. So I'll lock that. Now, if I try to grab my number layer 2 and move it, it will not, it's locked, it won't move. And if I choose my paintbrush and I try to paint more on, these, cannot use because the layer is locked. I'll unlock. Now I can paint on those pixels. So here's another one. This is completely unlocked. If I just choose this lock, all of them get locked. I can't paint, I can't move, I can't do anything with that layer. Okay. Now also, let me just give you this. If you double click on this, you will bring up some layer styles that you can apply to a layer. You can, put a bevel and emboss on it. You can do an inner shadow, a drop shadow, a gradient overlay, which is a color right over the top. Additionally, let me just hide these layers, and I'm going to go to layer 3, which nothing is on it. I'm going to pick a color like a deep orange, burnt orange, and I'm going to make I'm just going to fill this. So a couple ways I could do it. I could just get a big paintbrush and go, keep painting the whole thing. Or I can do select the whole thing. The shortcut is Control A, select everything. And then if you go up to Edit and Fill, you can tell it how you want it filled. And I want actually my foreground color, which is that burnt orange. Okay. So you can see I have a big, completely covering my image. Now, what I can do with this also is I can change how this top layer affects this background layer. So right now it's at normal, it's just a straight color. But if I click on, so let me just make sure you know what's going on. This layer 3, this all orange layer is active, right? I'm going to click on, right now it's normal, but I'll click on it and choose something else. Look at all these things that are happening to it. Looks like this major crazy storm, but I'm just scrolling through different ways. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to choose this hard light because that looks like a painting. It's just incredible. I'll hide that orange. See, the orange is just really affecting it as a hard light. Now, I don't know what hard light means necessarily. I mean, you can experiment with these. But let's say that's just a little too much. I can take my opacity of this layer and back it off a bit. See how I'm doing that? I can go to 0 and it will act like it's not even there. But I also can build it up slowly. And you can do it in certain areas too, right? So let's say I want this road a little bit lighter. I might get my eraser tool and I'm enlarging it and right-clicking on it, making sure the hardness of that brush is at 0. And I might just erase some of this road. I'm going to move my opacity down to something low, but do you see the effect that's going on already? I'm getting rid of some of that orange, and I can do it again and get more, and do it again and get rid of it more. You can see what's happening with that orange layer. I'm just erasing it, and I'm showing more of the full road behind that. So layers are completely powerful. There's a lot you can do with them. So experiment and play, but you have some basics to go from.